Hi, welcome to the Ithihasa channel. I will tell you the story of the Mahabharata, a real story that happened 5 to 7,000 years ago, towards the end of the Dwapara Yuga. Now, a long time ago, 5 or 7,000 years ago, this was a time when great rishis roamed Bhuloka, this earth. These are rishis who lived for a few thousand years each, commonly and casually flitted between Devaloka and Bhuloka, came and went as they pleased, traversed the length and breadth of this country, talking to people, teaching them how to live, how to be good, teaching them dharma, going to various kingdoms, talking to the kings, going through the court documents, going through the various lives of the kings. And through the years, they amassed enormous knowledge of the past and seeing the stars and the way the stars behaved and way the people behaved in relation to the stars, made some basic correlations which later came to be known as astrology. And with this immense knowledge in their brain, they went around teaching people in Bhuloka, on our earth, along the length and breadth of Bharat Varsha, our country, teaching the people and making them smart and intelligent and giving them good knowledge. And this is probably a reason why these rishis were said to have Divya Drishti, or the vision of the gods. They could see everything, past and present. One such great rishi was Krishna Dvaipayana. Krishna because he was dark in complexion, Dvaipayana because he was born on a small island on the Yamuna river. This great rishi was born around 50 to 60 years before the birth of Arjuna and Krishna. Now we know Arjuna and Krishna quite commonly, so I'm using these references to give you an idea of when Krishna Dvaipayana was born. He lived through the whole life story of the Pandavas and the Mahabharata, and much later, of course. Extremely intelligent man, spoke to various rishis, gathered the knowledge of 5,000 years past. And at one point of time, when he realized that the Vedas may be lost to humanity, he compiled them into the 4 various categories of Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, and Sama Veda. Did a lot of other innumerable works of literature and science and knowledge. And among them was the Mahabharata. He had the entire Mahabharata in his head, and he needed someone to write it down for him. And who greater than the great Lord Ganesha, a Lord of great wisdom, great intelligence, great intellect, power, strength, consciousness, extreme brilliance. Who better than such a great God to write down the Mahabharata? And Ganesha willingly agreed. And together they sat down on the banks of the Saraswati river, somewhere in the Himalayas where today Vyasa Gufa is. And they wrote the Mahabharata. Krishna Dvaipayana dictating it, Ganesha writing it. Because Krishna Dvaipayana compiled the Vedas, he was also known as Veda Vyasa. Veda, Vyasa, the compiler of the Vedas. And Veda Vyasa with Ganesha sat next to the Saraswati river. Ganesha, using inks made by himself and reeds from the surrounding areas, started writing down the Mahabharata in a beautiful parchment paper in the most beautiful handwriting ever to be imagined. Soon he broke a lot of these reeds, writing fervently, and then he broke his own tusk and decided to write with it. And thus was written the Mahabharata over probably around 3 years. When they started, Ganesha made a condition to Vyasa. He said, I want to write continuously without a break. If I take a break and if you stop in the middle, I will walk away from this assignment. You're a brilliant rishi. You have it all in your head. Let it flow out spontaneously and fluently. And Vyasa got nervous. Could he really do it without a break? So he put a condition of his own. He told Ganesha, I will say the whole Mahabharata fluently and without a break. But you have to decide and promise me that you will write down only if you understand the text. And Ganesha agreed, and they started off. And at a time when they were speaking, the Saraswati's noise was disturbing Vyasa's thought. So he requested her to go underground and join the Alaknanda a little away. That's probably where the Saraswati went subterranean. And as Vyasa was speaking, he realized Ganesha wouldn't stop writing. So he started making the Mahabharata verses more and more complex, more and more difficult to understand, that even the great Ganesha had to take a break once in a while to stop and think about the meaning, thus giving Vyasa time to rest and relax, and even doze off once in a while. Even if the great Ganesha could be confused by these brilliant shlokas of the Mahabharata, who are we to say that we have understood the whole Mahabharata perfectly? We sit and argue about the nuances of the Mahabharata, the hidden meanings, and fight over it often on social media, obviously. But when even the great Ganesha was confused by this contextual language of Sanskrit, how can we claim to have absolute mastery over it? And so Ganesha wrote a story of 80,000 shlokas, into which another 20,000 were added later to make it 100,000 shlokas, encompassing tens of thousands of named characters, hundreds of thousands of unnamed characters, and it went on and on. A lot of these named characters had their past lives described in this Mahabharata, and some glimpse of what they would be in their future life. Now, understanding and learning and listening to so many names can be intimidating. So, what I'm going to do is a little different. I'm not going to begin right in the beginning. I'm going to begin somewhere in the middle. Now, we know the Mahabharata is a fight between adharma and dharma, evil and righteousness, and basically a fight between two sets of cousins. One set of brothers are the Pandavas, where Arjuna is one of the main heroes of this war, on whose side Krishna comes and fights. These Pandavas got their name from their father Pandu. So I'm going to start with Pandu, the father of the Pandavas and the birth of the Pandavas. The other set of cousins are the sons of Pandu's brother Dhritarashtra, the blind king. So the other set of brothers are the sons of Dhritarashtra, the blind king, and they have got their name by taking the name of the Kuru dynasty from which both these people evolved. They thought that taking the name of the Kuru dynasty would give them legitimacy, so they called themselves the Kauravas. I shall speak this story mostly extempore from memory. There's a possibility I might miss a few things here and there or misspeak a few things. And if I get a chance to go through it before we upload it, I will put in a correction somewhere. So please forgive me on that. This is a brilliant story told 5 to 7,000 years ago, at a time when the concept of life was different, dharma was different. So we cannot really argue on their concept of dharma. Neither do I look at myself as an authority on the Mahabharata. But I do know that there are a lot of beautiful stories in the Mahabharata that can enthrall you for ages and ages. And I hope to bring this out to you all. I don't want to get into the arguments between the nuances and the fine things here and there, and I will stay away from these arguments and I will just give it as a story. I won't use props. The only thing I would probably use is a sketch at the background, a sketch made by a local artist, which denotes that particular scene of the Mahabharata about which I'm going to talk. I will tell this story like stories were told for thousands of years, just by word of mouth. And I would like you to listen and make the imagination in your mind. And I would like to ask you to ask your children to listen to these beautiful stories and let them imagine the Mahabharata in their mind. Each one's imagination will be different, and this helps in the development of the mind, the development of the growth of these children. There's not going to be any AI animation and any fancy imagery around. just me telling the story. And I hope we shall go ahead. So, taking the name of the Lords who will guide us, protect us, and show us the way, and my Guru, let us take the name Om Namah Shivaya, Om Nagendraya Namaha, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Amme Narayana Namo, Om Anjanaya Namaha, Om Guruve Namaha, Om Guruve Namaha. Let us begin the Mahabharata.